Hello, Thrivers. It's me again, Cowie. And in this video, I'm going to explain to you why we celebrate Hanukkah. Now, before I go on, for all those haters out there who have issues with Hanukkah because they think it's a pagan holiday, before you judge me and condemn me, listen to this whole video, please. Okay? Now, here's the thing. I may not believe the same way that you do, and that's okay. We all have to work out our own salvation with fear and trembling. In other words, you worry about you, and I'll worry about me. And if I'm wrong, Adonai will correct me. If you're wrong, Adonai will correct you. If you really want to understand me as a person because you love and care about me, then watch this whole video all the way through. I don't want to hear no hateful comments or anything else about how you think that I'm sinning, yada, 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 yada. That's really not helpful. So let's move on. Hanukkah. Now, just like everybody else, as I've said in one of my previous videos about Sukkot, we celebrated Christmas just like everybody else, and many other people. I guess not everybody else, but like many other people, we celebrated Christmas. When we walked away from that, we were like a lot of people and how they react when they first come to the understanding of Messianism. We were frustrated and angry with the church. And so we went sort of extreme and turned our backs on anything that may have resembled Christmas at all, which Hanukkah is one of those things, one of those holidays that kind of resembles because it falls around the same time as Christmas and it's got the whole light theme going on like Christmas does. But let me explain something to you. Now, as we progressed and became more knowledgeable and more mature in our ways, we realized that going to that extreme isn't good either. Yes, we do recognize that Christmas is indeed a pagan holiday. When you study the history of Christmas, that's where its roots come from. And it's pretty clear in the Word that we are not to observe those sort of holidays. Hanukkah, however, when you read and understand the history of it, here's what happened. During the time of the Maccabees, prior to when they were given the Holy Land back and the temple, they were severely oppressed. They were not allowed to use the temple. Now, please forgive me, I may have some of this wrong. I'm going to try and link some information down below so that you can go and study it for yourselves. If you're more knowledgeable about this on me than I am, then I apologize if I get some of this wrong. I'm human too, but this is how I know and how I understand Hanukkah. During the time of the Maccabees, before the Jews were given back the land and the temple, they were very, very horribly oppressed. And they were not allowed to use the temple. It had been desecrated, in fact, which is a bad situation. From what I understand, when the temple is desecrated, there are foreign gods that are set up within the temple, and a pig is slaughtered. I don't know why it's always a pig, but a pig gets slaughtered on the altar, which is not a kosher animal. Now, they were not allowed to use the temple, and they were not allowed to observe anything having to do with God and any Jewish holidays. So Sukkot, they could not observe. And a new king came in and had favor over the Jews and gave them back the temple and instituted things so that they were allowed to use the temple and to make their sacrifices again and to observe the holidays that God commanded us to do. According to the Torah, it is commanded that if the temple has been desecrated, it is to be rededicated. It has to be sanctified first, or else God's not going to be happy. So what they had to do was they had to ensure that the priests were cleansed, the temple was cleansed, and one of the things that they had to do in order to achieve that was to ensure that the menorah was constantly burning its light. Unfortunately, they only had 1 day's worth of oil. It takes 8 days to make more oil. So what they did was they went ahead and they put it in the menorah, and what ended up happening is it burned for the entire 8 days it took them to create more oil. So instead of only burning for 1 day, it burned for 8. And then when they started burning the new oil, they had to constantly add more oil. So that's where the miracle of light comes from, and hence the theme of Hanukkah. That's where the Hanukkah comes from, where you have the shamish and then the 8 branches. So the 1 branch in the middle and then the 4 on either side, which makes the 9 branches. So that's where the Hanukkah comes from. Now, the other thing that goes along with it is as soon as the temple was rededicated, they celebrated Sukkot because they were not able to celebrate it prior to this event. So it's literally like a second Sukkot. And that Hanukkah actually means the Feast of Rededication, or is it the Feast of Dedication? One of those. They rededicated the temple. They had the miracle of light that took place at the same time, and then they celebrated Sukkot as soon as the rededication was fulfilled. So Hanukkah is a second Sukkot. When you look in the Word, you will see how Yeshua was in Solomon's colonnade during the time of the Festival of Lights, or Hanukkah. There's a few different ways that it's translated in English. Usually you'll see it say during the Feast of Dedication or the Festival of Lights. Now, back then, when you look at the history, when Yeshua walked through the colonnade, they were observing Hanukkah at that time. The temple would have been used for Hanukkah when he was there. Some people say, well, he was just there. I'm sorry, I have a really hard time believing that when, if he was there and he felt that it was a pagan holiday, either he would not have been there to participate, or he would have been calling them all out and saying, this is wrong, you should not be observing this. Now, here's another really interesting fact. Yeshua, as I said in my video regarding Sukkot, it is very, very plausible that he was born during the Feast of Tabernacles, which is Sukkot. 9 months prior to that would have been Hanukkah. Now, this is all conjecture. We don't know exact dates of when he was born. So, that's a little bit of an extra thing, but it is something really interesting to consider. He very easily could have been conceived 9 months prior to Sukkot, which was Hanukkah. So, here's the thing. If Hanukkah truly is a pagan holiday, why was Yeshua in the temple at the time when they would have been celebrating Hanukkah? Why was he there? And why did he not say anything about this is wrong, this is a pagan holiday? Why wouldn't he have said something? I could be wrong. If you don't want to celebrate Hanukkah, that's fine. It's not a commanded holiday. But those are some things to really think about and consider. What's up, guys? Sorry to interrupt, but I wanted to show you this new thing that I created. They are printables of Hanukkah decorations that should be able to fit in any standard 8 by 10 frame. And this is one of them. It says, "May we never forget about the miracle of Hanukkah." And this is one of the ways to spell Hanukkah. Most people spell it with an H instead of a CH, but this works too. So there's that one. There is this one. "Thank you, O Yod He Vav He, for the miracle of light," is what it says. And then also this one. "Hag Hanukkah Sameach." Happy Feast of Dedication. That's really what that means. Happy Feast of Dedication. So you can either buy one each, or you can buy the whole set. I'm going to be selling it for, each one will cost $1.50. You print it out on your own paper. Mine has been printed on photo paper, or you can buy the whole set for $3.50. So go and check out. I have links down below to my Etsy shop so that you can go ahead and order that and decorate your house. So have a great Hanukkah and enjoy the rest of this video. So here's something else that's kind of interesting. Historically speaking, as far as Christmas goes, the pagan holiday didn't really have lights associated with it originally. America has its own history on Christmas. It used to be outlawed. Did you know that? Until like the 1800s, 1850s, I think. I can't remember. But it used to be outlawed. Christmas historically, as a pagan holiday, when you look at its ancient roots, the string of lights wasn't really a thing back then. They burned a Yule log, which is different, but it was always dark, and it was associated with many things that are associated with darkness. When you look at the history of Santa Claus and his little helpers, they're all actually demonic creatures. And I'm talking ancient history. I'm not talking like within the last 100 years or something. Ancient history. Go look it up. Now, the reason I bring that up in connection to Hanukkah is because America used to observe Hanukkah. There are more Jews here than there are in Israel. So America has observed Hanukkah for many years. When it first came into existence, and when Christmas started making its way in to America, the people who were celebrating Hanukkah that slowly transitioned into celebrating Christmas, they took the light from the Hanukkah theme and they incorporated it into Christmas. That's why there's lights in Christmas. And that's why so many people who come out of the church and take on a more Jewish / messianic understanding, that's why they end up walking even away from Hanukkah, and they won't even go near it, and they think it's pagan because of that connection. But you have to look at the ancient history. It was not a thing in Christmas. Lights were not a thing. It more had to do with darkness. It was more like a Halloween type of theme. The dressing up like Santa Claus and then all of his little helpers. That's more Halloween than it is Christmas. Not Christmas, Hanukkah. But that's where the lights came from because of that. So that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. That's our testimony. That's why we celebrate Hanukkah. If you don't want to celebrate Hanukkah, that's between you and God. And what I do is between me and God. And if you think that that's bad, then okay, sorry. If you really care about me, though, pray for me. Pray for us so that we may constantly be led and guided by God to all truth and righteousness. But we love you guys. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful Hanukkah. Have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful week. We love you guys. Be blessed. Shalom.